I'm super excited to introduce you to my guest today. His name's Chris James. I've personally watched him grow his social media from 0 to 45K, which is incredible. Not only that, he's done it all organically, posting value-based content alongside having a family, having kids, working for an agency, which he's helped grow from 20 to 80 staff members and bill over £10 million in revenue. He's won clients like Pepsi Max, Subway, FedEx, the NFL. He's an amazing coach. He's an amazing salesperson. He's now the founder of Content to Clients, which is a program that teaches content creators, coaches, experts generate sales through organic social media, like he's done. He is living proof of doing this, and I'm super excited to introduce you to Chris James. Yeah, Chris, cool. Legend, thanks for joining me today.
Pleasure, man.
How are you, mate? How's things?
I'm tired, I'm on the brink of needing a little bit of a break. I'm working hard, I'm in that awkward position at the moment where it's like, do I go for it? Do I invest more in team? And, you've been through that, like a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of apprehension before doing it. And yeah, I need some internal help, I think, and I've got people lined up, which is cool. So I'm at that stage. But apart from that, yeah, everything is really good, man.
Yeah, you've smashed it, mate, because I've been following you, I'd like to say, since you started growing the account, really, and you've done extremely well, and doing it in a way, because you also have been working, right? So you've been doing it alongside your agency role, which we can get into. So I just want to say, there's so many people here that just do content, right? That's what they do. They've got the time, whereas you're juggling family life, content creation, building the side hustle, and working in the agency. And I know that can, what is it? Has it been tough?
Well, I guess it all comes back to that first comment, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm tired. I'm a little bit tired, but that's what you get, 2 kids, wife, job, passion. You got to create. You're not just making content. I mean, I was at the start, but as soon as you onboard a few clients, it turns into like, oh, okay, I've got to look at operations now. I've got to look at client success, client delivery. Got to look at the finances. All sorts of things like that. But yeah, appreciate the kind words, man. It's been a hell of a 12 months, just over. Whole life has changed massively, just insane. And if you told me I'd be in this position, making half a year's salary in a month, if you told me that a year ago, I'd have called you a liar.
Talk us through that, because it's been 12 months of massive growth. But before you started doing the content creation, I know you've done some great things for the agency that you work for, and from a sales point of view, you've built some huge clients. But what I guess my question is, what triggered you to start on IG and start creating the content?
Boredom, I think, man. I read a couple of I know we've spoken about books quite a bit over the past few weeks in the DMs and stuff, but I started reading some of these self-help books. I think the first one I stumbled on was a bit more spiritual, a Stoic author called Ryan Holiday, if you've heard of him. I'm sure you have. So I read a couple of his books, and then I just started getting the highlighters out, and it felt really weird to just highlight a book. It just felt alien to me, it just neatly preserved and leave the book on the shelf as it was, kind of thing. Leave it as you found it. But I started collecting these quotes, and I thought, I stumbled across a couple of quote pages on Instagram, and I made one of those. I can't remember the name of it now. It'll still be up somewhere. But it wasn't just getting much traction, but I started even before getting into a content creator mindset. Obviously, I had an Instagram and things like that. Didn't really know how to use it from a personal brand point of view, admittedly. And I thought I could make 365 of these in a day. And then I've got a year's worth of content. So I did it. And then I didn't go out and engage or anything like that because there was no face to it. And then I thought, I'm going to have a look around and see what other people are doing. And I stumbled across... Dane Walker was one of the first people that I saw. Absolutely, it just blew me away. I was like, I want to do that. Even if I don't put my face out there or my name out there, I want to just learn how to make those carousels. So I ended up recreating one of his with a skull on it in Canva, and I was like, this looks cool. But it was nowhere near on what he did. Obviously, you can't reach that level of quality in Canva, and he's obviously got some amazing experience post sort of pre me even seeing his stuff. So anyway, yeah, dabbled around for a bit, never posted anything because I hate it when people rip things off other people. So it was just like, I'll keep it behind closed doors. I went from software to software. I ended up Photoshop. I even did them in PowerPoint. I recreated them in Canva again. I was like, oh, I just can't. And then I stumbled across Adobe XD. And that's the one for me. That's the carousel software I still use. It's a mixture between Photoshop and Canva. I think it's for UX design more than anything else, but the boards and stuff you have in it. Anyway, yeah, so I still hid behind no profile picture, nothing, no face in the content, and just started posting this stuff, B2B sales related. Then a couple of people came to me and said, oh, could you help me get some sales? I was like, oh, yeah, what, 80 quid for an hour? And they were like, yeah, obviously, because it was dead cheap. So ended up getting a couple of results with people. And then I spoke to someone, I can't remember who it was, someone who's doing quite well on the Instagram sort of coaching front. And they just broke down their model. And I was like, I could do that better than him. I can definitely do that better than him. This was I remember who it is now, but I'm not going to say.
You can't do that.
I can't. This was a young lad who, but he did give me some advice. He's like, just put a zero on the end of your price and see what happens. So the next time I was on a call with someone, instead of, I moved up to 250 an hour. I said, yeah, it's $2,500. And they like paid in full on the call. And that's when I looked at my wife like, okay, if I can just get 2 of them, that would be break even. If I can get 4 of them a month, we're on a 10K a month. That's cool. Minimum costs at this stage, but there's no infrastructure. Like I was making custom one-on-one dashboards in Notion, putting files, and then I started building up these resources. And that's when I was like, I should build a course. And in December last year, I started building a course, sold like 2 copies of it. And yeah, that sort of brings us into this year, which is when things really change, which when I launched the group program, and it's just going insane.
Mate, right, so let's unpack some of this because there's so much you went through there and it made it seem so streamlined, but I know this is like years of, or a year or so of like dedication. So the first thing that most people won't take from that, and I hope they do, is there was that curiosity, wanting and being bored, right? You're bored of where you are. You're almost capped at what you probably can earn where you are, even though you're winning big clients like Pepsi and all this craziness, right? So you're like, right, I know I can achieve more. So then you start looking into IG. What I like about what you said there was how much time you invested in the process. Because I remember doing this for landing pages. I would go and I used to hate the sales pages that you see on like the kind of basic ClickFunnels ones. So I'd go and redesign the best landing pages in Unbounce. Like just would never post them, would do nothing with them, but just like sharpening that sword, just trying to get better at your craft every single time. And I'd like, the closer I can get to that landing place, I know I'm there. I didn't know you'd done the same thing for carousels with Dane Walker. That's so cool.
It's
man.
like it's like a jigsaw, isn't it? It's like, can I do this? Like it's just solving a puzzle. And the intention, it was not out of boredom from work. It was out of boredom from just stuck in the house, something to do.
I've got you.
I'm an early riser. No one else is awake at 5, 6 in the morning in this house. I probably had till 8, especially when the kids were being homeschooled. Geez, it was like 9 when they get out of bed, and so my wife. So I'd have hours there, and yeah, just as you say, sharpening the axe, man. And I wasn't getting ready for anything. I was just enjoying the process. But that is a big thing. And I kind of tell my clients the opposite now. It's just like, go and put yourself out there. But if you really want to be a master, like I feel like I can make a very solid carousel now because of those hours.
Reps and sets. Reps and sets that you put in. No doubt. I truly believe that. Yeah, that's such a great shout. So then you started getting traction. When did you start making it your personal brand? Because you said, was it when you started posting the carousels? Was you Sales Guys Chris? I pretty much remember it always being just your face.
Yeah, I think I was Chris James for a bit with an X. I think I had an X instead of the A for James or something like that, because obviously Chris James is a pretty common name. But yeah, I think it was probably around the October-ish time, and that made a big difference, rather than just having a name or whatever it was. And then I switched to Sales Guy Chris to be a bit more memorable. I hate it now, but I've kind of got to keep it, I think, certainly for a little while longer. And yeah, that personal brand switch made a difference. And then when I did that, I'm more than comfortable in front of camera. So I was like, let's just make some of these real things, whatever these things are. I didn't get them. Not sure I still do get them, to be honest. But yeah, just doing a bit of comedy. I like to inject a bit of comedy into stuff. And then I think that's when it really, people started to identify with me, and there was that brand recall, or at least design recall. And we got the yellow and the grey and a little bit of black as well. And yeah, just started getting better and better skills wise. And I can whip things up so much quicker now as well, because you just build that asset bank of templates. I was building course material for my clients, even when I was just doing one-on-one, not even building a course. And then, yeah, just the whole thing became a lot more streamlined. And then I jumped back into like, right, how can I not spend 2 hours making a carousel? How can I do a week's worth? And there was at one point I was 2 months ahead scheduled in terms of content, which was insane. But now I just aim for about a week. So there's a big difference.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I've dropped off so many times because of that yo-yoing of content creation. I've dropped off so many times. Even now, like I'm not posting because I'm just getting a backlog. I'm getting a bigger backlog than I've ever had because I'm just like, I can't keep stopping, starting, because it just, especially with how volatile the platforms are, it just kind of, you just stop momentum. It just slows down. So talking about like the one-to-one stuff, so you started doing carousels, people started noticing your content and wanting a part of it, right? How can you help me? Did you have any kind of like sales strategy at that point? I know you said you was kind of like winging it from how much is an hour, but I know that you can sell. So what was it that was stopping you? Was it a confidence thing? Was it just not really
It was
knowing?
lack of knowledge, man. I looked at our agency hourly rate, which is 90 or 95 an hour, and I was like, oh, well, that's a big agency. I'll just go a little bit under that. I just didn't know that anyone would be willing to part with large figures, because I'd not been, like I say, I'd not been around. I'd not even dipped my toe in with the creator community, never mind the wider, just bigger picture of Instagram. It was just winging it on all aspects, I think. So yeah, it's all just a learning curve, isn't it? But I think the most beneficial thing was to actually go through that first stage of charging too little, and then having that realization, and then that first client paying in full. It's like, right, this is 80 quid's neither here nor there, 2.5 grand for essentially what's a day's work, 10 hours. Like, that's a big mindset shift.
Massive. And then this often happens to me, right? It's like you'll see someone, we all have our boundaries, like in terms of our ceiling, what we think's possible in our head. Because when you're sitting at home in your own environment, you don't really get much influence from anyone else, right? Unless my missus can't help me with this, my kids can't help me with this. So you're in your own head a lot of the time. And it isn't until you have a conversation with someone that you perceive to be way ahead of you, or you perceive to be in a better position, and then you go, oh, like, is that what's going on over here? Like, what the fuck's this? Like, I could do that. You sometimes need that to drag you out of where you are and like make you realise, man, this is what else is possible. And then you'll hit another ceiling, right? And you'll hit another ceiling. It keeps going. But it does sometimes take those conversations with people like you had. I don't know who it was. Like, he's charging 2.5 grand. Bloody hell, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then you've done it easy. The key is that you actually then went and done it. Like, some people would have heard it, and then limiting beliefs would have gone, nah, that sounds uncomfortable. You was like, no, let's give it a shot.
It's funny, like you say that, because I was on a sales call yesterday, and I'm doing it more often now. I'll say to people, so you're on 2 grand at the moment. You've told me you're on 2 grand. What's the aspirational figure? And if they're on 2, usually they just want to get to 5. And straight away, I'll go, why 5? Why not 10? And their immediate reaction always when I ask that is to laugh, nervous laugh. It's like, it's almost like 10. I can't do. I'm like, you're already doing 3. You're already doing 2. You can do 10. And if you can do 10, you can do 15. You can do 15, you can do 25. And it's a whole, and that's the that's the thing I think people are missing. And like you say, there's levels to this. But I think people are missing, Hormozy talks about it a lot, the delayed gratification. And I listened to one of his yesterday, I think, where it's like the power of 100. If you can just go in and do 100 things for 100 times for 100 days each day, you'll become a master of it. And that's when you talk about time under the bar and reps and sets and honing the craft and things like that. And yeah, if you put your price up from selling one session for 80 to 10 sessions for 2.5k, you're probably not going to be lucky as me and get the first one. But again, that's a reps and sets in terms of just making it a numbers game, but also in terms of a mindset. And it's just like, I get used to talking about this kind of money now. Everything's four figures. Nothing is below 4 figures.
And you have to get comfortable with it, because you're not going to be comfortable if you haven't spoke about those figures normally, or you don't think about them, or you don't practice it. You will feel uncomfortable first, but you have to get comfortable asking. That I had it recently with like reaching out to people, and like we've got a sales process going. I hadn't been doing any sales for ages, and I love selling, but because I hadn't been getting those reps and sets in, even myself, I was getting a little bit nervous, shying away from a bigger figure. That like and I was like, what am I doing here? And then it took me a couple of calls to get back into it. Go, actually got the bug back. Right, just pause, ask the question. Go back to those basics. But I think everyone feels like you have to have it, like you either can or you can't when it comes to selling. Like you can either do it or you don't. And it's like, no, I was terrible. I've heard you say you was terrible. I think
we were the same in that respect, mate, like pretending to make calls and stuff. But no, there's something you mentioned there, there's two things, I think. Momentum is a big thing. I remember that from not even that long ago, making cold calls, and it's like, I don't get in my rhythm, really. Once you've made 2, 3, 4, you go in. But the first one's always like, so it's always harder. So I'd always ring someone if I knew they weren't going to pick up or they were an invaluable lead first, just to get the first dial out. And then I'd go ring someone who was probably quite similar. And then it's like, right, I'm actually in it now. And the focus time is in the diary or whatever. It's an hour. But the other thing to start getting accustomed to, let's say if someone listening is uncomfortable for asking for a 4-figure amount, is to go and just pay that money to someone, because I've done that a few times now. Mentors, I've paid 5 figures to one, I've paid 4 to a few, and all of a sudden, like it becomes, you raise that standard behavior of how one talking about it, just a normal thing. You're in with a different group of people then, who, as you said, they're just a level above. I jumped in with someone last night. I'm not saying this to show off. I'm just saying how this has changed. So a year ago, I was debating spending £10 a month on Calendly to help my business, right? Last night, I paid someone $5,000 to help my business. They didn't even pitch me. The call was about half an hour long. We had a chat. I knew who they were, already believed in them. 5K, done. Because I know, even if I don't get 5K back, which I'm pretty sure I will, I'm pretty sure I'll get a lot more than that back. I know I'll learn what I need to along the way that will be worth more than 5K anyway.
So freaking true.
That is the 12-month fucking shift, man. Like, and that's not just the first one. That was a one call. I paid on the call. Let's go. Yeah. And I swear I'm not, for anyone listening, I'm not saying that to show off or make it look like I've got loads of money. Like, I went off the call. I was like, should I have done that? Like, maybe I couldn't afford to do that. But I know longer term it will serve me. And like, maybe the next investment will be 25K in something. Who knows?
Okay, what do you think was the biggest shift? Like, how did you change to become the person that can just chuck $5,000 at a coaching program compared to the person that was scared to spend $5 or $10?
Consumption, I think, and being around different people. So, and also having more money in the bank. But I still had money in the bank when I was worrying about Calendly. It was just like 120 quid a year. Like, don't know. I could just do it myself. That would save the tenner. Whereas now, just paying for knowledge, man, like, he's so eager to learn and just to improve. And that's the big difference, I think. And just systemize. I'll probably, hopefully no one from Calendly hears this and they put the prices up, but I'll probably pay 500 quid for Calendly just because of how integral it is.
I hear that. They won't, by the way, but that is. I
hear that. Oh, no, I wouldn't really. Don't be daft. But
no, but I'm saying that I understand. Like, I get it.
It's that important.
Do you know what? On the flip side of that, if you was doing what you do right now, getting people in your programs right now, and you couldn't make an investment of, which I see a lot of course creators do, content creators, they have these programs, yet they're not willing to invest in anything that's even remotely as much as that they are charging. You're not going to make any money because you're not deserving of it. And that sounds really fucking crazy, but your brain, you will not scale that business because you can't comprehend making the same investment for yourself. So even when you're asking for that money back, right, to invest in you, you're not gonna do it as confidently because really you're a hypocrite because you're afraid to spend that money yourself. I see it with ad campaigns. People are afraid to spend £1,000, yet their business goals is to make 100k. Well, hold on a minute. If you can't invest £1,000 in ads, but you're saying you're going to make 100, tell me how that's going to work. Like, it's not. It's like chalk and cheese. So
it's the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's the what's it? Speculate to accumulate, isn't it? And it's like I heard of. I can't remember. I won't get the quote right, but it's like Coca-Cola. Someone said it. Coca-Cola just don't have to advertise. Realistically, think of all the brands in the world. They probably don't need to, but they still do because that pushes the growth. They still bring out new products even when they don't need to. They still put people's names on the cans and on the bottles. They don't need to. It's just extra stuff they're spending money on the front end. Same as a coaching investment, same as ads. Well, maybe not on the front end, but, they sign up with someone like you and make that investment and then pay the ad spend. But make that investment on the front end because the back end is pretty much guaranteed to mean more money and just mean a better situation altogether.
Well, you either make money and learn, or you learn. maybe sometimes you don't make money, but you learn a shitload. But you've got to be prepared to make that investment, otherwise you just stay still, right? And in the current climate, staying still is just not really an option. So listen, talk me through this at the minute. So you've got your program now, right? You've gone from the one-to-one coaching, and now I'm going to do this group coaching program, which I was looking at. Looks pretty cool. I've actually referred people to you, by the way.
Thank you, man.
I have, because some people sometimes people come to me and they're like, oh, can you help with like content strategy? And I'm like, go and see Chris. Because I've seen you do it. This is the biggest power in the way you've gone about it, is when you build it organically and you're patient, and it kind of builds, the program and the training builds itself because it's off of your own experience. It's so easy for people like me to go and work with that guy because I know you've done it for yourself, so you can definitely replicate it. So talk us through. There's a couple of things I want you to go through. Is like, what does this group program? Because there's a lot of coaches that will be listening to this and like, they're thinking about group programming, they're thinking about an online course, they don't know which way to go. How did you decide on doing the group coaching vibe, and what does it look like?
Cool. So yeah, I decided on doing group for scalability reasons. You've just given an example, I suppose, of investing something and not making money back, and that happened. I did that with someone else who had a group coaching program. I didn't invest in him to make that money back. I invested in him to see what his setup was and make mine better. Because again, it's that speculate to accumulate. I was like, whatever anyone's doing, I know I'll be capable of making it better if it involves content. I know for a fact I will. So I did that. I didn't make any money, but some of the operational setup was perfect. And I invested in another one straight away as well. And his had other elements. So I pulled all those together and then put my own twist on it as well to improve it. So yeah, what does it look like now? Well, it's made up of 5 pillars, so I'll go through those in a sec. But the promise, if you like, where we take people is completely organic, using content to win clients across a 6-month period. So it's called Content to Clients, and we'll help people first and foremost flesh out an offer, 4-figure offer that has scalability in it, that people are compelled to buy from their target market, unpacking all the pains, desires, the best platform, that kind of thing. Then we move on to the second sort of pillar, if you like, which is content and marketing. Not only positioning an intentional content strategy, but off the back of that, an engagement strategy as well, to make sure that they're going and speaking with the right people and they're playing in the right, fishing in the right pools, and that kind of thing. With the content, we're not just doing what a lot of these programs aim to do, which is just get sales. We're also aiming to grow a profile. We're also aiming to have people engage and be authentic, rather than just sticking sales content up and hopefully 1 in 10 will get an inquiry. So there's that 3 sort of layered approach in terms of the content strategy. And we try and get some quick wins straight away. Of course we do, but I want people to come out of it with other gains, not just financial, because I want it to be an experience. I want you to learn the components of an offer. I want you to know what content strategy is capable of when you position different pieces, different formats, different messages with different objectives and CTAs in the right way. Mm-hmm. And then after that, obviously we look at turning a third of that content, let's say, it probably isn't a third spot on, but we'll turn a third of that content into leads and clients. And there's also some opportunity for scaling and automation in there as well, if people have got the bandwidth to do it. Now, this is a solution that's ideal for people who are at 2 to 5k a month, let's say, and want to get further, but I've still taken people on who've not even had an offer. There's 2 lads who've come in, both from Europe quite recently. One's a podcast coach, one's a design coach, and within 5 and 7 weeks they've landed the first 4-figure client with no offer, nothing, weren't putting content out. One of them had like 37 followers. He's about the 1,000 mark now, and that's because these people come in, they both paid up front, they're willing to listen, and they'll take things on. So how that is made up and sort of the deliverables are the 5 pillars that I mentioned. So firstly, there are group sessions twice a week. There are 2 one-on-one sessions with me. So I ask people to go away, do a bit of work on their offer, and then come back and speak to me and sort of sense check it before they go out to market and test it, then iterate it and whatnot. So we have 2 one-to-ones with me, twice weekly group calls. We also have a course which is massive. I showed it to someone yesterday, and I was speaking to a TikTok guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got a 3-hour course." And I was like, "Oh, you can have a look inside mine if you want." Showed it to him, and he was like, "How long's that?" I was like, "Well, it's probably about 30 to 40 hours." But then I have to prefix that with, you don't need to do all of that. That's top to bottom. I just ask you to do a few key exercises rather than go through the whole lot. So it's there if you need it, kind of thing. We also have a community on Slack, which is amazing. That's probably worth its weight in gold on its own, just because of the people that are in there. They're all on the same mission. They're all cheering for you. If you've got questions, you're not just coming to me. You're not just coming to our client success manager, Vicky. You can actually go to the other people that are in there who've all invested the same amount to get to the same place, and everyone's helpful. I've kicked people out. 2 people, because they just weren't a good fit, or I just could foresee problems. And again, that is another speculate to accumulate. You've paid me X grand, I'm giving it you back, because I know the number of grand in the future that your upfront payment is going to cost me is way more. So let's end it now, kind of thing. And I'm very protective of that community. And the last thing is sort of accountability and goal setting calls every single week if you want them. Our CSM, client success manager, has spots every Monday. If you've got a blocker, if you've got a goal you want to achieve, or if you're just stuck with something. And of course there's DM access and stuff along the way. So nice. This is what I've taken from all these other programs that I've seen, that I've been in, and I'm like, these are the best components. And there's more than that. I'm not going to keep going into it, but I bring guest experts in, loads and loads of different stuff. And the main thing about it is it's underpinned by systems, and we will crush that mindset that you have if it's negative, because the ethos is inspiring action. That I've come up with the ethos. I don't know how I phrase it. Should usually do visions, values, and all that first. I didn't. I jumped straight in. The one thing that I know I really value more than anything is inspiring other people to take action.
Lovely, love it.
There's the pitch.
No, I love it. So there's a couple of things that I like about this, and if you're a course creator, or you're someone that's coming up thinking about your program right now, What we see in the agency as a shift is the whole piece around accountability. Because the whole days of just buying an info product, going through the course and getting a win, it's still working. People still do it. But chances are, especially if you want to start selling higher ticket, it's not just going to be an info product, right? You have to layer on these other support networks, how to hold people accountable, how to get them to take action. So accessibility is going to be important. So when you're making your course or you're thinking about it, you need to decide how much of you want to give, right? You also need to decide how much results you want them to get, because if you want to increase their probability of success, you're going to have to give some access or support. Fact. It's going to have to happen, which you've done, and it sounds like an incredible course or program, should I say? So how long is it? It's free. How long?
6 months.
6 months. Wow. Okay. Cool. So their start point is they're not producing content. They're not winning clients on IG. They don't know where to start. They're probably overwhelmed, overthinking what to do, and they come to you and say, "Listen, I want to earn 4 figures from this as a starting point. You give me clarity on my offer, my audience, how to create content, and then how to win clients off the back of that client content, and how to close them."
Yeah. All in there, man. Absolutely everything.
Amazing.
And you're right. Like I originally positioned this for 90 days or 3 months. I can't remember which. And then like a day into launching it, I was like, I'm gonna make it 6 months. I was like, because the first people I got in had no offer. I was like, this is going to take longer than 6 months, and I'm so glad I did, because a lot of people, and most mentors or coaches or whatever I'm classed as won't say this, but a lot of people won't win the first client until month 2 or 3. Let's be realistic. Anyone that's just trying to get you to go out there and just win clients straight away without thinking about certain things, and I don't like taking ages, but I also don't like rushing into things. If it takes you 2 months to get a client and then we're waving bye to you in month 3, what's that? You're going to win a handful of clients maybe. I want to be at a point after 2 or 3 months where you've broken a load of misconceptions that you had, and you're like, shit, this is possible now. I can really level up. I've made my first dollar online or whatever they say. I've done that bit. Right, now I can really leverage. And I tell people openly, whatever questions you've got, sweat us. We're here to help you. So yeah, just dialing in the proximity. So you can DM me at any point. I invite you to ask other people more than just coming to me, of course. But just like speak to me, and you've got my help for 6 months, and that's the real game changer. Which again, in these other 2 programs I had, the main person was a little bit too far removed, and it almost felt a bit awkward to send them a message. Whereas I don't want to be like that. I want to be completely accessible. I only respond at certain times of the day and certain times of the week, obviously, but you can pop something in my inbox and I'll help you.
What did your own launch process look like when you launched this? Because obviously you've done like a year of like value to the community on Instagram. By the way, go check out Chris's Instagram. But you've been pumping value. What did the launch look like for you?
I think it was just a few Instagram stories, to be honest, man, and a few outbound. Like, I'm not a big fan of cold outbound at all. Like, I've done it in the past, but I'd rather have a reason to speak to someone. And yeah, I managed to. So I tried to put the course out just through a bio link, and a couple of stories, and a couple of people bought it. So I got back in touch, said, look, I'm not offering this course anymore, because I didn't tell them this, but in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't believe it's going to be transformational enough. Kind of like what you just said, like you leave someone to their own devices, they'll watch a couple of videos, skip to the best bit, and then didn't get anything from it. That course is crap. Even if it was the best course ever, like you can't rely on people to complete things without a roadmap and some accountability, I think. So I contacted both the people that bought it, and I said, look, I'm not doing this anymore. I can either give you your money back or we can have a chat about what I am going to do. And both of them signed up to the group program. That was right at the back end of December last year. And I got another chap on the phone, and he was interested before the 3rd of Jan this year, 2022, and launched it on the 3rd of Jan. Never looked back. Missed one session due to COVID. That's it.
How have you done so like today? What have you done in terms of clients? Have you brought a lot of clients on, or where you at? Are you kind of? I know a lot of people. What they do is they bring on a beta amount. Fucking, I hate these no heads. What they do is they bring on a certain amount of clients to get the program right, get a few wins. Like, did you do it that way, or did you go right now? I'm just going to pump this as much as you can. And I guess capacity wise, you probably couldn't do that, right?
No, it's all good for capacity now. I think it's pretty damn scalable. I just brought it's evergreen. Like, I didn't do any rounds or cohorts or anything because I think people are all at different stages anyway. So yeah, bring people in whenever. I actually took a couple of real dips on purpose just to pump out like the content and get it ready for a whole month, let's say, and I'd just take a week off sales calls. I'm not a fan of sweating people for like with outbound messages, so a lot of the people that are in there have just been inbound and I've never spoken to them before they've booked a call with me, which is the glory of it, I think. Does it mean I should look at my outbound approach? Yeah, probably, because I get, some posts of mine get a lot of attention and I should capitalize on that, but I'm much more of a fan. And I asked some of my clients recently, and a few of them said, like, I was sold before like I even jumped on the call. And that's the power of just giving. Ask.
Big time. So talk us through some strategies. Let's get tactical now, because I think that's what a lot of people will be looking for now. Give us kind of like, especially in this climate, because I don't know about you, but my Instagram especially it's like halted. It's a stop. I don't even look at Instagram for growth anymore. Don't bother. My account is like, it just doesn't grow. I look at it mainly for sales, to be honest with you. But let's look at people that have just started. They maybe just launched their course or their program, haven't had any traction, haven't got big audiences. What would you say is the best piece of tactical advice you can give them?
Open your calendar first and foremost. I had a call with a guy who's multi-seven figures, consulting business owner, does what I do on a much higher level. He promised he could get us to 6 figures a month. I was like, okay, cool, we'll have a chat. And I believe him. Yeah, I believe him. And the first thing he asked me to do was open my calendar and show him. And I was like, I fucking love this. I was like, now I've got to face up to some of the tasks that I've had in this week that probably shouldn't have been in there. So that's the first thing is, are you really, and I mean really, marking out the time to do the right things? And there are only a few right things you need to do, right? It's not a massive list. Within those are a few different things to do. If we look at the main areas, all you have to do somehow is get people to agree to calls, take the calls and close a percentage of people on them, and then make sure the people that you do close get results in whatever it is that you're doing, or they're very happy with what you're doing. So you can't do any of those things without the first one. That's what matters. So focusing on that and nothing else. Don't bother, like, one good example I always say is like to people that are joining the program, it's like, we're not going to be covering stuff like hashtags in here. Don't go and spend 3 hours looking at hashtags. Go out there and interact with people. And, it's like, it just sounds so blasé, but that's all you have to do is, and I will probably diversify as well. If perhaps you're seeing something like you are, Danny, and I am as well, where my growth's just halted for some reason. So maybe you do want to try and take that. One of the best things I did was go across to LinkedIn, and that's been really, really powerful for me, and in terms of the growth as well, because the content, or most of it, especially if it's design focused, just lends itself so well from IG to LinkedIn, obviously. And I feel like there's a little bit of a better network. There's a little less hustle, and it's just more genuine, and that's certainly more personal brand focused on LinkedIn. But if you're just starting out on Instagram, you'll probably been gifted, like a lot of other people have, with an opportunity of like really high reach, because Instagram just likes to give new users reach, so they start posting more. I think, anyway. I don't know that for a fact, but that's the impression I'm getting. So capitalize on that by just giving away the farm in terms of your content. it doesn't even have to look pretty as well, is what I've noticed. So either jump on camera and do some really, really short reels, where you're just coming across like a leader, you're giving your opinion, you're talking about really wide things to draw people to your profile, you're talking about yourself, and you're talking about industry sort of related topics in the middle of the funnel if you want them to engage, kind of thing. And then towards the bottom, you're talking about very specific and unique stuff that you do, how you've changed your story, who you've helped, client transformations, your like processes, frameworks, that kind of thing, which I know you do a lot in your video content. Like stuff like that's just brilliant, because it's you can't replicate it. You can't replicate the way that you do things. So you can do that. And you can spend ages and hours doing carousels, which, you know what? I love carousels, favorite form of content. I wouldn't advise doing carousels if you want them to be really nice. If you do want to do carousels, go on Twitter, write out the slides on Twitter, screenshot them, stick them in, and that will fly. They fly better than my well-designed carousels. Yeah. It's the same as making a tweet and sticking it up as a 3-second reel versus me filming, writing, filming, paying an editor, approving it or not, going back to the editor, coming back to me, them writing the caption, them finding some hashtags like from my list, then posting or scheduling it, versus I'll go on Canva with 20 tweets and do all that in an hour. And they will get more views and get me more followers. Will they be the right people? Who knows? I've only just started doing it. But the plan at the start is not to do what I did, I think, and spend fucking hours and hours and hours on one piece of content for it to not make anything. So
well, I think it's changed, right? So like the carousels were great. They were what was being rewarded. Now they're not. So you play the game of the platform. I'm sick of the Instagram game. I'm done with it, to be honest with you, like genuinely. So I don't try and play it no more. I've got enough followers now, so have you, to be credible in this perceived follower game that everyone looks at. So my IG is simply a CV. It is. When I go and reach out to these high, multi-figure, 7-figure, 6-figure course creators that I hand cherry pick, I want them to come to my profile and go, fucking hell, this guy is the bollocks. That's all I use IG for now. I DM these big, massive 6-7-figure course creators. I say, listen, now let me send you something. I've just look through your funnel. They look at my profile and I know they're going to be impressed. And then I get a conversation started. I literally just look at IG for relationship building. Now, I'm not saying you should, or if you're listening, but I'm saying from my stance, that's all I do, because I'm just tired of trying to figure out what is going on with it. I'm just bored of it. So it's interesting that you say that. And I definitely think some of these tactics like the tweets, carousels, definitely think doing the visual ones are I wouldn't say they're potentially a waste of your time. It depends what your goal is. If you want to nourish someone and really like flex, then maybe chuck a couple in there. But I would only leverage that if it was going to be in a sales scenario, or I could pin it and that it talks through, like, it's really going to impress. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it either. I see a lot of people, and I don't know how you feel about, now they do these like call out caption posts where, it's like message, DM me growth, DM me Scal if you want to, whatever the freebie is. Is that something that you use in your strategy or you advise?
Yeah, why not? Because you think about what most people who do coaching, for example, are trying to do. They're trying to get people onto calls. The best way you can do that is by giving someone a Calendly link or them finding it somewhere. It might be in your bio, might be in an email, might be in a funnel of some sort, whatever it is, book a call. But even if you're playing the game right, you want to qualify people using that Calendly form, if not before, right? So for me, that Calendly form's quite lengthy. I only want to speak to serious people. I want to make it like almost just, I want a bit more of your time, like, oh shit, right, now I've actually got to put some information in here rather than just click a date in his diary and not turn up because I forgot or whatever. So I'm trying to make it look like a serious process, because it is, and I only want serious people. But just sending people directly to that link to begin with might be too much. So how can we make it easy? Well, we can make it easy by clicking a button of some sort, or just sending one word. And I think that's how this whole thing was invented. So do I like it? Not as much as probably some people do. I think it's fine. And does it work? Yes, I know it does. I know it works for me. I know it works for clients. And now I think you can do that to either invite a conversation or for some form of freebie, I guess, as well. I don't know. You don't like that?
No, I do. I it's not that I don't like it. I see that's where the trend's going. I think I feel like everybody's using it at the minute, but not necessarily using it in the best way. The most powerful way I've seen it being used is not to sell something; it's to start a conversation. People try and do it to sell something, whereas really, if you do it to start the conversation, for example, a freebie. Now, I've got ROI calculators for all the funnels that we design. I'm going to do a reel saying, listen, going through the calculators, and I'm going to do it for that. Who wants these calculators for free? And anyone wants one of these calculators, I assume you must have a funnel, which means I can talk to you, send you it, initiate the conversation, send you the link to the calculator so you get your asset, and then I can talk to you about whether the funnel, what's it doing, how's it working, how much money you're making. I like it in that way. But when someone's just trying to sell a course, which is what I typically see people do, they see the tactic and then their brain instantly goes, I'm going to use that to sell something. Yeah. Not, I'm going to use it to start a conversation. I think that's how people are misusing it.
I agree, man. Yeah, so, there are people who've done that for a while and it's probably been very effective, but it's not about the fact they're doing it, it's the use case behind it. So how are they putting that into a sentence? What's the positioning and messaging around it is obviously really, really key. And I think, in mine, it's a case of we do this, sound interesting, DM me the word and we'll have a chat.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you want a call, you can just go to my bio link and book a call anyway. So the DMs, again, these are all different ways to get leads. And I'm planning on doing something very similar for a freebie as well pretty soon, which is just going to be a very specific training that I'm only going to give to like qualified people. I'll probably use DM me the word and we'll have a chat before you even get your hands on this freebie first.
Yeah, I'm gonna play around from an ads point of view soon with 4 course creators that can't afford an agency, can't afford to work with a freelancer even, but using a freebie like that and scaling an ad like that. So let's say if they've done it organically and had people interested in it, they know that's validated as a lead magnet, and then running ads to that particular post and scaling it, probably on a smaller budget, right? I'm going to test that over the upcoming week. So if that works, I'll let you know. We can maybe do something.
Yeah, that'd be wicked, man. I mean, I put, speaking of ads, I've never really done any. I've boosted a couple of reels. That's it. But no, not even reels. I've never boosted a reel until recently. I've just boosted a few carousels and stuff. But really, I'm talking like 20 quid max budget ever. So I thought the other day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a reel like calling out the audience and saying, if you're a coach struggling to get clients, it's probably because you're an amazing coach, but you don't know how to market or sell. Follow me and go through my past content and I'll show you how you can win clients online more easily. That was something along those lines. Anyway, boosted that for like 4 days, put 15 quid behind it, something like that. Got a call booked in from that one post. I didn't close them, unfortunately, but the proof is there that if if you can describe someone's problem better than they can, or you're on the money with it, they'll listen. And then if you've got a compelling profile with nice content on it, with a decent call to action, you can probably use ads at a very low level, like you just said, and make some money, or certainly get some initial calls.
Definitely get the calls in 100%. It will lead to some sort of engagement. You'd like to hope if you've done it properly. I would say do it when you're thinking about things like that, you always want to do it from a place of eliminating as much risk as physically possible. So like now, if you was to run ads, you're in such a good position because you've done a year worth of content. You've taken on board X amount of clients. You've got X amount of results. You pretty much know your client inside out now. Like, you know what offers, what language, what tone, what lead magnets. You know all of that. It's all validated because you've sold it. You've got leads, you've sold. You're in position to run ads. It's when people do it from the standstill of not knowing a fucking clue. They've just created a course because they think it's what people need and haven't sold any, and they want to jump straight to ads. That's when it gets tricky. But you want to try and eliminate as much risk as possible. So if you're posting content like you just said, and you've got engagement off the back end of it, and you've sold off the back end of it, you can run ads to it. It's just now it then becomes a numbers game.
Yeah.
So
Again, makes me nervous. But I remember asking you to come and do a guest session on ads, and you were like, "Why? Like, how much are your clients making and stuff like that? Oh, maybe just an introductory session." Like, well, if they've not sold much, and this I think was in the days of just starting out, but for anyone that's not sold much, if that offer's not validated, ads are just pointless. And the way I look at them now, and the reason I've never run them, is because I believe in more in the relationship side, organic side of things. There will come a time when I do some real ads, I'm sure. I'd rather probably do it for a click to buy rather than a call based sale, though, to be honest. But I just see it as a magnifying glass. Same as hashtags, like they're going to amplify whatever your product or service is. If it's crap, they'll amplify it and people will know, and it'll just get zero, But they'll magnify if it's good as well. And same with your profile and content and stuff like that. But yeah, one thing I think I've seen with ads recently is quite a big step up in creative. Then certainly the ads I'm getting targeted with, they're all really nicely filmed, and people are working on them hooks, really working on the hooks. You just hear the call outs now immediately. Some of them are awful because they all sound the same, but there are some that really, really like cut through.
Yeah, it's so Facebook and Instagram from an ads point of view is carnage at the minute, to be honest with you. And the algorithm's so smart. Facebook are trying to make it easier, but what actually means that you have to continuously be testing your creative. Like, it's more of a creative game and messaging than it is actually understanding how to run ads.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's probably why you're seeing like such an influx of different like ads. It's the game.
I love watching them now. You put a video. I was on your profile just before this, and you've got a reel that comes up saying, "Do you like ads?" And then it's got the yes or no button. Yeah. And I'll click yes, and then you go, "No, no one does."
I actually do like ads as well.
I really like watching them at the moment.
All right, listen. So, mate, first of all, like I say, I know I said this, but I'm extremely proud of what you've done, man. And there's not many people I recommend. People that come to me, I hate sending them to places that I don't know they're going to get a result, and I always send them to you. If they haven't got an offer, don't know where they're starting, you're the place that I will always say, go follow this guy. So
Thanks,
you should be proud of what you've created. What would you say to anyone listening that is at that starting stage? What would be the best bit of advice? They've just got their course or their program. They're in the midst of creating it. They're probably not. They know they're not doing enough on the marketing front on these platforms. What would you say is the best bit of advice for them?
Streamlining wherever possible, especially on the content front, and making things easy. Because if you're trying to do everything yourself, and you're probably a perfectionist if you're an entrepreneur, which is like, or you've got an entrepreneurial spirit, which can be it can be a disaster. So take it from me, because I've been there and I'm tired and I've got some grey hairs coming through and a few wrinkles now, that you don't have to do as much as you think you need to do. You don't have to go and build the course before you sell the course, for example. You can just get people. This TikTok chap that I spoke to yesterday, lovely chap, he was like, I've sold one copy and it was to someone that I knew of my course. And I was like, well, why don't you make it cohort based and bring people in for free for the first 5 people? Just do 5 people in December for a month, one group coaching session every week, free access, get some testimonials. And that is probably really bad advice because you're not going to make any money, but it's probably really good advice as well. And that's why I said it to him, because if you can just delay that gratification for a little while longer, and as you mentioned, kind of what I've done is just build this thing up over a year or however long, and now it looks credible. If you can just do some form of activity like that and make things easy on yourself, or do a pre-sale at a low rate, or tag something extra on so you can actually give people a more valuable experience, or maybe bring a couple people in for free, or just run some free coaching sessions, or deliver some of your content in a masterclass, or or a webinar or something to a number of people and get some feedback, like, and ask them to send you messages and do a recording at the end, then you've got some more social proof. And you'll also be able to find out what those people's pain points are if you speak to them directly and go, okay, what was the best bit? Now, what was the shittest bit? What do I need to improve? Cool. Okay. Do you mind if I take the best bit and put it on my social? Have them already agreed to that and say, yeah, well, I'll give you a testimonial. Then work on improving the worst bits, but also making content out of the worst bits as well. It was just like, what questions have you got? Get 10 questions. You can probably make 100 pieces of content out of that in different formats very, very quickly. So yeah, is streamlining and stopping the overthinking. Like, everyone does it. I bet you do it, Danny. I do
Massively.
it every single day, because we've just got this thing inside us where it's like, we want to create, but if we're putting something out, it has to be perfect. We don't want anyone judging us on less than 100% quality. But I think the whole aim of the game when you're just starting out isn't quality, it's quantity. And again, sounds a bit backward, but it's just put yourself out there and, you know, not fail publicly, but build the plane while you're flying it, kind of thing. That will probably be my advice. Stop overthinking. Stick 4 hours in your diary on a Sunday afternoon to make your content. Don't do any more than 3 or 4 hours. Engage for half an hour to an hour a day and post your piece of content, and then actually work on getting to know people and just having conversations.
Game plan. The other thing you said in there, which is an absolute solid bit of advice in my personal opinion, is if you haven't got any case studies or results, get them first. Like, put some sweat equity in, get some people on board, get a result for them for free, for a minimal amount. Like, the amount that will pay you back if you do a good job, if you can use that as social proof, that increases the perceived value of your product anyway when you're trying to sell it the next time around. So the more the higher the perceived value, the more easier it's going to be to buy it. That means the more case studies, the more certainty people have when they look at it. So get those fucking case studies, like, get them for free. So that is I don't actually, from someone that sold or helped an agency bill £10 million or whatever it was, the crazy figure that I read, you'd think that the advice would be go and make loads of money. Yeah, but the truth is no. If you're starting from that point where you don't have any credibility, you don't have a big following, you don't have this perceived value, go and earn it first. Build the relationships, do it for free, get the result. Then you'll be able to charge more anyway, because people will know the likelihood of them achieving what they want from your course or program is gonna go up. So I think that's solid, mate. I think that's really solid. Okay, so I know where's the best place for people to check you out? I know Instagram at Sales Guy Chris.
Yeah, LinkedIn, Chris James. I'm on TikTok, but I don't go on it myself. My VA just posts my reels on there. I'm going to build up YouTube next year. Yeah, I have to.
Mate, I have just... By the way, guys, go and follow Chris. Like, his content is incredible. It's so engaging. You will be learning tons. It's not one of those profiles where you're going to be scrolling through loads of reels that make no fucking sense. There's some stupidly valuable pieces of content on there. I've started just repurposing my reels on YouTube Shorts. So I'm posting 2 a day. I think I've got like another 45 days. And
it brings in followers, doesn't it?
It's a no-brainer. And now YouTube are introducing ads for Shorts. So once you get to 1,000 subscribers, I think, you can then be put forward to have advertisement on Shorts, so you can actually make money from it. So I've already transitioning. Instagram is my sales platform. I'm not telling everybody to do this, but Instagram is now my sales platform. It's to engage, build relationships with people that I want to work with. YouTube and TikTok is where my full focus is going to be going forward next 6 to 12 months.
Interesting.
For now, that is the game plan. That is the game plan. Because I think what was happening before is that I'd focus all my attention on Instagram, and that's it. Like, you put all this energy, time, money into a post, and then it's done. Whereas if you go pillar content like this, what we're doing here, and then break it out, makes it a lot easier. But listen, Chris, thank you so much, mate, for joining me. I know you've
Pleasure,
got to get off, man. But yeah, once again, everyone go follow Chris. He's going to have some amazing content coming out. And if you're looking for help with content, offer, selling on IG or any social media, really, it works across the board. Go and check him out. Thanks a lot,
for
mate.
having me, man. I had a blast. Always enjoy our chats, brother.
Always.
But yeah, let's catch up soon. And thanks everyone for taking the time out and listening.